Okay, so ready to dive deep into this one.
Absolutely.
We're talking the 7 habits of highly effective people.
It's a good one.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I could use all the help I can get when it comes to being more effective.
Well, and the thing that's so interesting about Covey's approach is that he's not just giving us like a toolkit,
Right.
like 7 tricks to be more effective.
Yeah.
He's really taking us on this journey of fundamental change.
Yeah.
And it starts from the inside out.
Yeah, he talks about this idea of a paradigm shift.
Yes.
It's like he's asking us to check our mental maps and like make sure we're not trying to navigate Chicago with a Detroit map.
Exactly. And one of the best examples he gives is this story about his own son.
Mm-hmm.
Covey and his wife were really struggling to help their son succeed.
Yeah.
But they were stuck in this paradigm of seeing him as inadequate.
Wow.
They were using the wrong map.
It's amazing how much our perceptions can really become self-fulfilling prophecies.
Absolutely.
We can unintentionally limit other people and ourselves with these outdated maps.
Yeah, and Covey argues that this is really where true effectiveness begins, with a shift in our paradigms.
Yeah.
Our deep-seated beliefs and assumptions about the world and ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, it's about moving from a focus on having to a focus on being.
So instead of just like collecting a bunch of quick fix techniques, exactly, it's about cultivating a more solid inner foundation.
Yes, precisely.
Okay.
He calls it the character ethic versus the personality ethic. It's like the difference between building a house on solid ground or building it on sand.
Which makes me think about those get-rich-quick schemes.
Yes.
They might seem tempting, but they rarely lead to lasting fulfillment or success.
It's so true, and Covey uses that very analogy.
Does he really?
Yeah, he says, real effectiveness.
Yeah.
Like building a successful business.
Yeah.
It requires a long-term perspective, a commitment to character development,
Right.
a willingness to do the hard work. It's about the being, the inner core, not just the outward having.
I like that. He doesn't mince words, does he?
No, he doesn't.
So if we're trying to build this character ethic, this solid inner foundation, where do we even begin?
Well, he introduces this concept of a maturity continuum, and I think it's really helpful.
Okay.
He says we all start from a place of dependence.
Right.
Relying on others for everything.
Like as babies.
Exactly like babies.
Yeah.
And we're totally dependent.
Right.
But as we grow, we move towards independence, becoming more self-reliant, making our own choices, taking responsibility for our lives.
But it doesn't stop there, does it?
It doesn't stop there.
There's another level.
There is.
Yeah. No, okay.
And this is where I think it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Covey says that true effectiveness lies in interdependence.
Okay.
It's recognizing that we can achieve far more together than we ever could alone.
So it's about understanding that we're all interconnected.
Yes.
That our success is intertwined with the success of others.
Precisely.
Okay.
Think about a sports team. Each player has their own unique talents and abilities.
Right.
But it's their ability to work together, to leverage each other's strengths that wins championships.
It's like, that old saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Yeah.
But how do we shift from that, like, I mentality to a we mentality? Covey says it starts with these 7 habits.
Yes, and he divides them into 2 groups.
Okay.
Private victory and public victory.
Okay.
So private victory is about mastering ourselves first.
Okay.
Building that inner foundation. And then public victory is about applying those principles to our interactions with others.
Okay.
Building effective relationships.
So it's like you can't build a strong house on a shaky foundation. You got to get your own act together before you can really like connect with and lead others.
Exactly. And he kicks off the private victory habits with habit 1.
Yeah.
Be proactive.
Oh.
Which, sounds simple enough.
Yeah.
But he really challenges us to think about, how much of our lives we're actually in control of.
He talks about that circle of influence, right?
Yeah.
Like focusing on what we can control.
Exactly.
Rather than wasting energy on things we can't.
Yes. Are there any...
Do you have any like examples of how this plays out in real life?
Yeah, he gives this great example of an executive who had like a really controlling boss.
Okay.
And, instead of letting it get to him, this executive started like anticipating his boss's needs.
Okay.
And finding ways to make his life easier.
Wow.
And he focused on what he could control.
Right.
And it ended up like expanding his own influence within the company.
That's so smart. It reminds me of that saying, The best revenge is massive success.
Mm.
But it's not really about revenge, is it? It's about like focusing on your own growth.
Exactly.
Letting go of the things that you can't change.
And Covey says that, proactive people use language that reflects that. Okay. They say things like, I choose to, or let's look for a solution.
Okay.
They take ownership and responsibility.
Okay, so habit 1, be proactive, all about taking responsibility, focusing on our circle of influence. Yeah. What about habit 2, begin with the end in mind?
Okay.
What does he mean by that?
So this habit is about having a clear vision for your life.
Okay.
Knowing where you want to go.
Yeah.
So you can make sure your actions are aligned with your goals.
Mm-hmm.
He says it's like, writing the program before you run the computer.
So if habit 1 is about being the programmer of your life.
Yes.
Habit 2 is about writing the code.
Exactly.
Okay.
And Covey actually takes it a step further.
Okay.
He suggests we imagine our own funeral.
Oh, wow.
What would people say about us? What do we want to be remembered for?
Yeah.
It's a very powerful way to get clear on what really matters.
Wow, that's intense. I can see how that would make you kind of want to live your life differently.
Yeah.
More intentionally.
Absolutely.
And that leads us to habit 3, put first things first.
Yes.
This is about time management, but not in like the typical sense.
Right. Not just about like,
yeah,
using your day planner more effectively.
Right.
It's about prioritizing our actions based on our values and our goals, not just on what's urgent.
He talks about that time management matrix where we like categorize tasks based on urgency and importance.
Exactly. And he says the key is to focus on what he calls quadrant 2 activities.
Okay.
Those are the things that are important, but not urgent.
Oh.
Like planning for the future, building relationships, taking care of our health.
Because if you're not careful, you can get so caught up in putting out fires.
Exactly.
You never have time for the things that really matter.
That's right.
In the long run.
And that's really the essence of habit 3.
Okay.
It's about being intentional with our time and energy, making sure we're investing in the things that will lead to true fulfillment and effectiveness.
Okay, so we've laid the foundation with the private victory habits.
Yes.
Be proactive. Begin with the end in mind and put first things first. Now we're moving into public victory, which focus on building effective relationships.
Yes.
And it starts with what Covey calls habit 4, think win-win.
Exactly.
Right.
And this is where his ideas about interdependence, I think, really come into play.
Okay.
He says, most people approach interactions from a win-lose mentality.
Okay.
Assuming that if one person gets what they want, the other person loses out.
It's like that scarcity mindset we were talking about earlier.
Exactly.
Like there's only so much pie to go around.
Yeah. You have to fight for your piece.
Yeah.
But Covey challenges us to adopt what he calls an abundance mentality.
Okay.
And to look for solutions that benefit everyone involved. He says, true win-win solutions come from a place of mutual respect, creativity, a genuine desire to see everyone succeed.
But how do we actually put that into practice? Like, it's easy to say, think win-win.
Yeah.
But what if the other person is just stuck in that win-lose mindset?
Right. Covey actually provides a really practical framework, I think, for applying this habit.
Okay.
He talks about the importance of, building strong relationships based on trust and mutual understanding.
That makes sense.
Right.
It's hard to find win-win solutions if you don't even understand where the other person is coming from.
Exactly. He says, we need to really listen to understand.
Yeah.
Not just to respond.
Right.
And that leads us to habit 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood.
Now that sounds like a challenge.
It is.
Especially in the heat of the moment.
Yes.
When we're all fired up about getting our own point across.
Yeah, Covey would say that's our natural tendency.
Yeah.
To rush in with solutions before we fully understand the problem.
So it's about shifting from that me first mentality to a you first mentality.
Exactly.
Really trying to see things from the other person's perspective.
And that requires empathy, patience, a willingness to let go of our own assumptions.
He uses that great analogy of the optical illusion.
Yes.
With the old woman and the young woman.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
To illustrate how we can both be right.
Yes.
Even when we see things differently.
That's right.
Yeah.
And this habit, seek first to understand, then to be understood, is essential for creating those win-win solutions.
Yeah.
Because when we feel truly heard and understood, we're much more likely to be open to finding solutions that work for everyone.
It really is. It's like that saying, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
That's good, yeah.
But once you've laid that foundation of understanding, then what?
Right.
How do you actually, like, create those win-win solutions?
That's where habit 6, synergize, comes in.
Okay.
Covey says that synergy happens when we value differences.
Okay.
When we see them as strengths rather than obstacles.
Yep.
It's about recognizing that we're all better off when we work together.
Yeah.
And we leverage each other's unique perspectives and talents.
It's like, two heads are better than one.
Yeah.
But Covey takes it beyond just, like, brainstorming ideas, right?
Absolutely.
He's talking about, like, a deeper level of collaboration.
He uses this analogy of two plants growing close together. And they actually improve the quality of the soil for each other.
Wow.
Or how two pieces of wood bound together can hold much more weight than the sum of their parts alone.
Okay.
That's synergy in action.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've gone from be proactive, taking responsibility for ourselves, all the way to synergize, like achieving incredible results through collaboration with others.
Yes.
It's quite a journey, but there's one more habit, right?
There is one more.
The one that, like, ties everything together.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is probably the most overlooked habit of them all.
Okay.
Habit 7, sharpen the saw.
Okay.
And this habit is about taking care of our most valuable asset.
Which is?
Ourselves.
Okay.
In every dimension, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually.
It's like that analogy he uses about the goose that laid the golden egg.
Exactly.
We can't keep producing golden eggs.
Right.
Those amazing results in our lives if we don't take care of the goose.
If we don't sharpen the saw.
Right.
He says we need to nurture all aspects of ourselves.
Okay.
Our physical health through exercise and good nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
Our mental sharpness through reading and learning.
Right.
Our emotional well-being through meaningful connections.
Okay.
And our spiritual selves through meditation or connecting with nature.
It's about recognizing that we can't pour from an empty cup.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
We have to take care of ourselves so that we can show up.
Yes.
And be our best selves in all areas of our lives.
Absolutely. And Covey emphasizes that this isn't selfish.
Right.
It's essential.
Yeah.
Because when we prioritize our own well-being, we have more to give to others.
For sure, and we're more likely to be effective in everything we do.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive on the 7 habits, what's the key takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with?
I think the biggest thing is that true effectiveness isn't a destination.
Okay.
It's a journey of continuous improvement. It's about embracing these habits, not as a one-time fix, but as a lifelong practice of growth and self-renewal.
I love it. That's a great reminder for me as well.
Good.
So as you go about your week, remember to be proactive, begin with the end in mind, put first things first.
Yes.
Think win-win, seek first to understand, then to be understood, synergize.
It's a mouthful, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
All 7.
And of course, sharpen the saw. Covey's 7 habits provide a really powerful framework, I think.
I think so.
For living a more fulfilling, effective, and meaningful life.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep diving deep.